everybody. Welcome to this Board Game Life, episode number 39. We're back. I'm back. It's been a little bit of a hiatus, and lots of stuff has happened, but the show is finally back after, more than 5 years hiatus. And with me, I have not a special guest, but more so than that, my good buddy, Mark.
Hey, Rob, how you doing?
I'm doing great. There's nothing like having little trip ups. For some reason I was expecting intro music like there always is, but that will be for episode 40 of this Board Game Life, and I did not mess up the name, which is freaking amazing.
I know
So
I will.
yeah, so real quick, my name is Rob. I've been around here for 38 episodes. We've had a bunch of other people on the show with me, and the latest and greatest and the best of all, I've got my good buddy Mark. We go way back. We did over 600 episodes. Do you know the actual number of this Xbox Life?
Oh,
670-ish?
I can
Yeah, it's a
I can
lot.
pull it up. It was
It's more than 5.
672 was our goodbye episode.
Yeah,
And
so
then there was 90, was it like 86 I
yeah,
think I
80,
did
80 some, yeah.
prior to that on the other show. So yeah, I've been podcasting for a long time.
Yeah, well, heck yeah. Yeah, so we've done a heck of a lot of episodes of this Xbox Life, and I know I've mentioned it on this show in the past, but that was a long time ago. Man, I think at the time we were saying that it was like 300 plus episodes, so we more than doubled that. But Mark, actually, so we've sunset that show at episode, 672.
Yeah.
And we took some time off, and Mark has jumped over to board gaming recently, so he's helped me get back in and revive this show, which I've been wanting to do for a really long time. So I'm glad to be reviving this show, and Mark, I'm glad that you're doing it with me. So I'd like to say it's like talking to an old friend, but it is talking to a great friend, not just an old friend.
Yeah, I am
So
old, and we've been friends for a
yeah,
very long time since.
oh,
So we
absolutely,
were friends in high school and have been besties since. So,
yeah,
but yeah, I always known Rob as board games, and of course another friend of ours named Braun, who was on the Xbox podcast with us that we did. We used to kind of tease Rob because it's like, Rob, you didn't play any games this week, and it was like, and I used to be like, it's because he's too busy playing board games.
yeah,
So, and
it's true.
and I never really like understood. I mean, I played games as a kid, but when we retired the show, I was just kind of like, I still play Xbox. I was playing earlier today, but I just don't do it
Sure.
like I used to.
Yeah.
And one day I was sitting here in my office and I had these shelves full of those stupid vinyl Funko Pops that I got. One of my kids bought me one as a gift, and that just like started the madness of I got to get them all. If you
Hmm.
are into those, man, that is a very cheap to begin with, but very expensive to stay in hobby.
Oh
Which, of
yeah.
course, gaming is worse. Board games are worse, but um, I was sitting here and I was just like, man, why did I ever buy all these? And I had this thing. I was like, you know what? I needed a change. I needed something different to do. And I brought my youngest son down and we cleared all the Funkos off of my shelves and we
Yeah.
boxed them up. And I said, go get all the board games. I decided we're going to start playing some board games. We had a closet upstairs, randomly stuff strewn everywhere. I was like, go get the couple board games we have. We're going to put them on the shelf. We're going to start playing board games. I want to start playing games with my kids. And so he starts to go up there and bringing them down. And I'm looking over here and I was like, where did all these games come from? Like my whole office floor was full of games. So then we started to put them on the shelf and I sat back and I was like, I didn't know we had so many games. And then I think what we originally had has probably doubled or tripled in the last 6 months, if that
Oh
long.
yeah,
I don't
that's
even think
easy.
I've been doing this for 6 months,
No, no.
but I'm up to 170 games, and I
You
just
know,
ordered another
yeah,
one today.
yeah. Well, that's no surprise to anybody listening to this show. That's for sure. We'd like to think that we're all unique, but we're not unique. We're all the same. You're going down the path that's been chiseled into the Board Game Hall of Fame like years ago of how to get into the hobby, how to just sink all this money into it, how to explore it. Um, you know, all the boxes have to be perfect. You sleeve your cards,
Oh,
which I think we might talk about later. Later,
okay.
you sleeve your cards. You do organization. You get little bags for everything, and then maybe at some point you're like, I just don't care anymore.
Yeah,
Not everybody goes that full route, but yeah. But most importantly, we're back with episode 39, going on 672 maybe. Um, let's see, real quick. Uh, I just wanted to give the rest of an update. Um, yeah, the rest of an update here in a second as to like what's been going on, everything. Then we'll get on with the show. I don't mean to cut you off, Mark, but we do have a website, This Board Game Life. You can find all our content on there. That stuff is still up there. I probably need to do some updating on there. I'm guessing because I haven't really been checking it in a while. We do have on BGG. We do have a guild. It's been around forever. It's been inactive forever, but you can contact us on there, and then we'll figure out some other stuff later on in the coming episodes to get this thing up and rolling. But how about we get on with the show? I don't mean to cut you off, and then we'll kind of get through it all. Sound good?
absolutely.
Sound good? Okay. So, quick update on kind of where things have been. So, I think the last episode, when was it? Like 2016? Is that what you showed me today, Mark? I think it was like
Um,
2016, 2015, something like that. There was like one
yeah,
show, then one a year later. I was going to resurrect it. And then, yeah, things got really complicated. I changed job positions. I moved like twice.
gosh, that was, yeah, I
Yeah.
remember that. That was a mess for you.
Yeah, and I can tell you moving with board games really sucks. It sucks a lot. I mean, half the stuff that I moved, I think, was board games. And pro tip, I can probably say this. What I did, the thing that really helped me a lot was I went and I bought boxes that were all the same size. And I put games in there. It was playing a little bit of Tetris, getting games in there, and I put in like that wrapping paper, that like newspaper stuff that they sell to like wrap things with. When you move, I put that in there to kind of like keep things from shifting around. But having the same size boxes is so helpful because then you can just stack everything really nicely, and you're not really messing around um, a whole lot. Hang on. Can you still hear me?
Yep.
Okay, good. I just realized I was in something else on Discord with my microphone. But yeah, so that's one thing that makes the process a little bit nicer, even though the process kind of sucks to begin with. But anyway, yeah, I moved once, and then I thought it would be fun to move everything again. And so I moved all my shelves. I did not take those apart. That was a little bit helpful. But yeah, just the same size boxes. I think I used primarily the um, the oh, I forgot what I was going to say now. The Yeah, I think I used the Home Depot medium size boxes and a couple larges. The large ones were kind of a pain. But anyway,
And they get too
um,
heavy too.
Yeah,
You have
that's
too
the
much
other
stuff in
thing.
there.
Yeah, because there are some big box games that don't fit well in the mediums, so that's why I had a couple larges, but again, not very many.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I moved, and then I did get contacted by a bunch of people, over the years. Had some listeners sent some messages, that I should revive the show, and here it is. Here it is. It just took a little longer. I apologize for that. It took a little longer to get done. And of course, since the last show was, man, like 4, 5, 6 years ago, the landscape of the board game industry, the board game hobby, everything has changed. It's a lot different now. I think there's a lot more content out there because there were some long-standing podcasts when we started the show off back. Man, I don't even remember when the first episode was, but maybe like 2013, 14, something like that, 12. I should probably look it up. But
February of 2012.
okay, yeah. So dang, that's almost 11 years ago. Wow. But yeah, just things are a lot different now, and probably make some changes to the show format and everything like that. Maybe keep some things the same, just keep it going. And I think Mark, I think both of us are, we're looking to do this for fun because we're passionate about the hobby, we enjoy it, and we want to make this podcasting as enjoyable for us as possible, right? 'Cause, I mean, that's something that we stuck with for years with the other show.
Well, I think what's interesting and what I think that maybe we can bring to the probably large board game podcasting world is that might be different, at least from the things that I have started to listen to and watch, is I mean, you're the pro, like
That's
this is like a
right.
complete almost like a complete reverse of our other show where I was the big time gamer on the video game side and you were,
It didn't mean you were professional.
occasional, you're the casual
I'm always
gamer.
the pro. I'm
Now
always the
you're the pro. You are not the pro there. Don't make me break out gamer score comparisons. um, but um,
actually, you know what that's like? Our gamer score comparison is like that thing of here is the sun and here's the Earth's moon in comparison size. That's what it's like.
but what I think it will be fun about our show here is that you're the pro. You understand everything in the board game world, and I'm the noob. I know I've been like, I got so many questions and terminologies. Like I hear people talk about stuff, and it's like I'm sitting here going, "What does that even mean?" So
Yeah.
I hope that our show can bring kind of a nice balance that pros can enjoy listening to it because it won't be all noobs. You'll have you, and then I'm hoping some new people that are maybe into it like me might like it as well because maybe they'll
Mhm.
get some questions answered or something, and it
Oh
won't
yeah.
be too over their head. And when you
Yeah.
say something, I'll be like, "Yo, wait, what does that even mean?"
Yeah, what you talk
So
about, Willis? Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah. And one thing that was really awesome before is, we had, a whole bunch of listeners that would write in, not write in. I mean, all email. Um, I think we're doing some kind of voicemail thing as well. But it's awesome to get feedback and people asking questions and stuff like that. So hopefully we can get that rolling. We'll figure that out. I know we've got contact at this Xbox Life .com.
Uh,
Send
wrong,
messages.
wrong.
Oh, did I say X? Oh, I did it. I
Take a
was so
drink.
certain. Yeah, so certain I wasn't gonna do it. Dang it! Dang it! Oh,
Take a
contact
drink.
at thisboardgamelife.com is
He
is the
did it.
correct one. Yeah. Let's see how many. Yeah, okay. So we can have a drinking game. Choose the drink of choice, whatever it is: water, coffee, tea, uh, spicier things, whatever you want, and drink whenever I say this Xbox Life. Same thing for Mark.
Yeah,
Maybe
well,
it's
I
gonna
mean,
be a hard
yeah,
habit to
we've been
break.
doing it forever, so
But
it's gonna
but
it's gonna take us a while.
yeah, but before I don't think I ever had an issue with it. So maybe it's I am older, more senile,
And
handsomer, whatever
you're
you want
talking
to
to me. You
say.
never had
Yeah,
me on the show before, so
yeah,
we're gonna just muscle memory, if you will.
It took 11 years. Actually, yeah, that's true. When we talk, I think Xbox.
Yeah.
So,
But
but
it only took you 15 minutes to make a mistake.
yeah, I know. So that's pretty good. And that's like, yeah, we're shooting. Yeah, so we talked about it briefly. We're shooting for like an hour longish show, give or take or whatever, and doing like a frequency of like every 2 weeks for now.
Yeah.
So every other week. Probably releasing on what is today? Tuesday? No, Monday.
Today's Monday. Yep.
Monday, yeah. So Monday release time, probably in the night sometime, maybe Tuesday morning, whatever. And we'll go with that. But yeah, going back to what I was saying earlier, there were a bunch of messages, about bringing the show back. People really enjoyed it, so hopefully those people are still subscribed, um, and you will definitely see the messages and stuff like that out on the guild and everything like that. And yeah, I don't know. Yeah, so we'll use the BGG Guild, I guess, maybe initially as a way to communicate, and then we'll branch out. I don't know. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how it goes. We're winging it, making it you know reasonable for everybody, and we'll see what happens. And again, going on 672. But maybe we should just go over like who we are, how we got into this whole thing. Just in case people are new listeners and not old listeners for the first 38 episodes, and people I'm sure definitely want to hear about you. um you want to go over that stuff real quick?
Sure.
All right. So well, I guess I'm Rob. Hello, nice to meet you again. But yeah, I started this Xbox life years ago with Mark, and podcasting on the Xbox, something that he has been doing for a really long time at that point. And
Which
I
is
kind
your
of got,
fault, by the way.
yeah, yeah, it is. I'm responsible for a
Wait,
lot of things,
wait
good
a
and bad.
minute. Wait a minute. Yeah, you are responsible for both
Yeah,
the Xbox and board games. You are a bad influence on me, sir.
terrible influence.
You know
Yeah,
how much money you have cost me through the years?
and I am not a quitter. That's important to note. But yeah, it's yeah. So we started that. Man, that was in like 2008. We started that, and then a couple years later, I got into board games a little bit, and kind of dipped my toe into things. Doing like I remember I bought Catan, and the second game I bought was Dominion, and I'd like to say that I have, to this day, never played Catan. 12 years later, I have not played Catan. And I still have it somewhere, but I did play the heck out of Dominion and other games. And that led to, I ran into the first host of this board game life, Jeff, on BGG. It's somebody that I worked with. And Mark, you also know him as well.
Yeah.
You worked with him as well. And we got to talking, and we decided to start a show, and then the rest is history. We went to Gen Con, did a lot of episodes, did a whole bunch of gaming, and then he decided to leave the board game hobby. And then I continued the show a little bit by myself. I had my wife on as a host a couple of times, which was a nice spin on it. And yeah, then life really got kind of crazy and complicated around episode 38. Actually, no, 37 is when it kind of got crazy. I was going to restart at 38, and here we are now at 39, a billion years later. But a lot of changes over the years. I've grown the hobby, or I've grown my collection exponentially since then. I've got games all over. You have a big collection when you have a lot of shelves, and you have games stacked on top of the shelves and on the floor in front of the shelves and to the side of the shelves. Yeah, that's my situation. You're going down that road, Mark, if you haven't already. The
Oh
listeners
yeah.
all know what we're talking about. You can never have enough shelving. But yeah, it's my tastes have changed over the years in an interesting way, and I do want to say that while I'm still growing my collection, a fair amount. I still make my online orders here and there. I'm a lot more selective, mainly because I'm really out of space, and that's a problem. So I get I'm not as apt to buy things as I was in the past, but it is fun to introduce the hobby to some people, like new people, like neighbors and stuff like that. If you can get over the initial resistance of like where they don't want to play because they think Sorry and Monopoly and stuff like that, and you're like, but wait, I've got this cool stuff, and if you can get past that, then it's awesome. Then they're like, that's how you get the people to like tickle that thing in their head of like, oh, this is really interesting. I want to find out more. And I'm sure you know what that is, Mark. It's like, oh, look at this new mechanic. Oh, I like this. What other games have this mechanic? And then it's like you're shoveling these games into your house.
That
But
happened to me this week.
yeah,
Yep.
but but yeah, it's like there's a lot of different cycles that you run through there, and it's I kind of chuckle to myself, Mark, when you tell me about stuff that you do, because that's stuff that I did years ago. Not that I'm saying I don't do it anymore, but I remember going through that exact same stuff, including the Barnes and Noble haul that you had. Been
Oh
there,
my
been
gosh.
there, been there, done that. But although mine was up from the clearance tables, it wasn't
The
from the
entire
thrift. Yeah,
store.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, I think that's like the gist of it. The rest will come out over the subsequent episodes. You want to tell listeners a little bit about yourself and kind of like how we got here?
Sure. So, my name's Mark. I've known Rob since high school. That's a long time ago. Um,
Yes.
I played board games as a kid. I think all kids do. But and here and there it was like on occasion you might get together with friends and play a game, but it was never really a huge thing. It was just kind of like, oh, what game do we have? We'll play with friends, come over or something. But it was just not that often. And I got really hooked on video games at one point, and I wanted to. It was kind of funny because, well, I won't go into all that, but I ended up getting into podcasting and the Xbox all about the same time, and just really video games has kind of consumed my life for many, many, many years. I've had walls of games, and I was so happy to go digital because it's like moving with video games it's easier than board games. Like as you mentioned that, I start looking, I was like, oh, I didn't even think about moving, because moving with video game collection was really rough. But board games will be
Not when it's
harder.
a digital collection.
No, it's so easy. Just grab that hard drive and go. Um, so this last year, I just kind of, I think I just kind of hit a slump, and I've been going through this, and I think a lot of gamers everywhere may go through this, where you just like, there's nothing new, there's nothing, you just get kind of bored, and I feel like I'm in a slump. And of course, I'm an Xbox gamer, and that could be why this last year was pretty bad for Xbox. Not a lot of really good first party stuff, but um, so I just got kind of bored, and we were podcasting for so long, and it was just like I just needed a break. And and then one day it was just like one of those kind of things, I need to make a change. I need to do something different. And like my oldest kid is gone to college. He left this year. My daughter's leaving next year. My youngest son's got in a couple years will be gone. And I'm just like, when I play the video games, most of the time I'm playing just with me or friends online. Sometimes I do play a lot of Fortnite with my kids, and it's been really good memories. And I was just like, you know what?
Mhm.
Let's try board games, because that's more interactive. We're not staring at
Sure.
a screen. Sometimes a kid will be like, oh, I'm going to go lay in the other room on
Social.
the couch. It is, it's a lot more
Yeah,
social.
yeah.
And so, and it's been, so I kind of, when this all came along and I realized we had so many games, I was like, man, there's stuff here we haven't even played. Like we had a game that was in the shrink wrap probably for 20 years. So I'm like, I took the shrink wrap off. I'm like, we're going to play this. And And so I instituted that every Sunday is going to be family game day because we're always
Nice.
home. We're always home on Sundays. We don't, we go to church and then nobody works and, we just stay home. And I was just like, we might as well, that's the good day because, rest of the time people are busy doing stuff.
Yeah.
And so now we come home from church, we change, we eat lunch, and then it's like, all right, what are we playing? And we started to rotate, like, okay, this weekend is your pick, and like my son gets to pick, and then my daughter gets to pick the next week, and then I pick, and that way it's like everyone gets a chance to play something that they want,
See, if you were
you
like
know.
really smart about it, you would go, okay, this Sunday, your daughter picks and you pick. The next Sunday, number one son picks and you pick.
There you go.
So
Yeah.
you
So I get to
always
pick
pick.
something every week. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Number one
But
son.
it's turned out to be really fun. My daughter has really um I got into, I bought a game that, oh boy, has consumed our lives. Dice Throne
Oh yeah.
was my first real, what I would consider a first big game outside of, your typical, like, I mean, I played Ticket to Ride and I like that. But that's probably as heavy as I've ever gotten into a board game. Is maybe Ticket to Ride, and I'm sure many people are laughing like that's not heavy. But to someone
Yeah.
who's used to Monopoly or something and comes from that type of, the board games that you typically find at like Walmart or something,
Hmm.
that are more family friendly oriented and a little lighter. Um, Ticket
Yeah,
to
they have
Ride
a
was
lot of
pretty heavy for me.
yeah, they have
But
a lot of party games and
yeah, yeah, so that's kind
yeah.
of been more my, and I'm really, and what I have found is I've really gotten, the bug has hit me and I bought some stuff that I'm just like, man, will I ever get to play this? But it's like people love it and I watch reviews and it's like that, I'll watch people play it online and it's like that looks really interesting. And so next thing I know, I've
Yeah.
got a, what I consider a very large collection. And I got a lot still to play, but I have played a lot of new stuff that has just, and it's like I played something the other day. We'll talk probably later, but that I was like, oh my goodness, this was so much fun, and I find out it was based on a different game. Like the mechanic was come from a different series that kind of brought this out, and I'm like, that game's on my shelf now. I have to go play it. I really am excited to get that one to the table. So but yeah, it's and here I am. I'm a lot of games I've been playing. I've also joined two different, I actually, well, so I'm a single dad, three kids, uh living at home except the one who just went to college, but um and I work from home. So it's like I'm always home. And it's like I need to get out. And um so I'm not a, what do you call, I'm not an outgoing person. I'm very shy and quiet until I get to know you, and then Rob will tell you Mark never shuts up. Um
Fact. Yeah.
as he's rambling on longer than Rob wanted him to here. But I ended up, it was through a lot of personal struggle to do it, but I went in, there was a game store south of me that was doing an X-Wing night, and they do it every Thursday night where you can come and play X-Wing, Star Wars X-Wing. And I was like, man, I've had that thing sitting on my shelf forever and we tried to play it once and it was just too difficult. I couldn't figure it out. So I'm like, I'm going to go down there and maybe watch. I'll hang out, I'll watch, maybe try to learn. And they ended up like, come on,
Is
you
that
can
like a
play.
is that like a gaming voyeur?
I, whatever you call it. I don't know. Is that the terminology? But so, and they play every Thursday, and now I've expanded on that game. I bought a bunch of stuff. I had to buy a special case to carry all the minis, but I go down there and I'll now play that, and that group meets every week. And then on a Wednesday nights, there's another group that is like, we just show up at this different board game shop, and it's the one I took you to when you were here, where they have
Oh yeah,
like
yeah.
the cafeteria downstairs, and the whole bottom
What was that
floor
place
is
called?
game Blue Sky, no, Game Wizard and Blue Sky Hobbies.
Okay.
It's in Bremerton, Washington. And so we meet there on Wednesdays. Well, we schedule them out, but it's been more frequent. But I went looking for a group. I actually created one trying to meet people in my area, and then found this one because for some reason, I didn't see it when I was searching until after
Right.
I spent the money to create one. But I've met people now through the group I created, and I found this other group, and now we kind of, whenever they schedule a meetup, I'll just schedule one for my group and we get together. So we're bringing kind of trying to get more people together. And we've had some really good game sessions. I've met people this way. I've got introduced to a lot of games that, just isn't something I would normally play. And I love it. It's so exciting. And it's like, I couldn't go for the holidays. I was so excited to go just this last Wednesday again to go and play Wednesday night. It's like, oh, I can't wait. And we had a blast. So that brings me to here now to the podcast of
Hmm.
trying to teach me the ropes and the what to
Oh
do's and what
boy,
not to do's.
that's the wrong teacher.
No,
Yeah.
I
Actually,
can't help. I can't help but talk, Rob. I'm excited about it. It's
yeah,
crazy.
no. Yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. It's it might be interesting thing to talk about like in a future show of, like your experiences with, you know, like going into a little more detail into like what you were going through, like finding a group and, some apprehension that you had and stuff like that.
Oh
That might
boy.
be because I bet a lot of our listeners kind of share the same thing. Like, it's been a while since I've been gaming with a group and I know that, you know, reaching out to like a new group of people, that's tough. It's not an easy thing. Um, because not everybody is all about, you know, putting themselves out there and stuff. So,
It's tough,
oh yeah, heck yeah.
but worth it. So
Yeah,
worth it. I just put that down as one of my noob questions that I have is this list is growing, but that'd
yeah,
be a really good one to talk about how to get past that.
yeah.
Um,
And
so
playing with family is cool and all, but it's a different experience when you play with other people and
it's much better with other
yeah.
people.
Yeah, and one thing too is like especially if you're in the same household, people do get into groupthink, even when they do play normal
Dude,
as
I
normal people.
love that about this game group. Like we were playing some cooperative stuff this week, and it was just like, and I'm sitting there going, well, do this, do that, do this. And then someone else was like, well, why don't you do this and do that? And then another person will be like, well, you could just do this and this, and we're all like, oh yeah, that's the best, like how everybody can sit in there looking at the same game. We're on the same team. We're all trying to achieve the same goal, but there's so many different ways you can do it. And like hearing
Mhm.
everybody's like viewpoints, and it's just like, oh, it's really cool. It's like, wow, I didn't think of that, you know? Or then when everybody's
Yeah.
like, yeah, you've got the best idea. She's like, yeah, I did something right.
Hmm.
It helps build that confidence up as a new person to the hobby. So
Yeah. But I forget. Hey, you know what? I just got my email from our recording platform. It just came in right now.
oh
11:21 p.m. Yeah, we're recording this at night. I just released our recording time, and you sent this like over an hour ago.
yeah. So
Yeah,
well, I'll do it now that I know. And I remembered afterwards that we had delays on this system before. So I do have the ability to copy it and just email you
yeah,
directly. So I'll do
yeah,
that next time.
yeah. Absolutely. I just saw it flash through, and it made me laugh.
It's like, gee, thanks.
Yeah. Imagine if we waited for that link.
Yeah. Yeah, no kidding. You'd have been
Yeah,
asleep by now.
yeah. But yeah. So we want to go on with the rest of the show, or you think we want to talk about some more stuff? Anything else you want to say
I, th-
about
I
your experiences?
no, I think it's just I don't know if you so some thoughts that I think what I would, and I've talked to you about this. So I
Hmm.
had written down some ideas of maybe what. Yeah, never mind. Never mind. Just
Okay.
let's move. I want to talk about like what we've been playing. I think
Yeah.
that's.
Yeah.
I tend to
Well,
ramble, Rob. You know that.
oh, yeah.
You got to stop
You're
me.
you're a rambling man. A rambling
Problem is you don't have the
man.
mute button on your side. I do. It's on my
Yeah.
side. I have the
Yeah.
power.
But yeah, I mean, yeah. So let's talk about like what we gotten to the table in the last couple weeks, or whenever, since this is the inaugural show. I did get a bunch of gaming in recently, and this was actually some surprise gaming. There's a buddy of mine that our sons are friends, so they would go play, and then I had breached the subject of bringing a game over, or games plural, over. And he immediately told me, he's like, oh yeah, my brother's into board games, and he makes me play Ticket to Ride and stuff, and Catan. And I'm like, oh boy, okay. So I mean, I don't know what happened to him, but
Yeah.
he was a little reluctant, right?
Yeah.
So so I always have the struggle, and I'm sure everybody else does the same, of like, okay, you're going to introduce somebody to gaming. Which game do you bring, right? Because that could sink your ship, or it could open up somebody to the hobby, right? Depending on what you choose. So I knew that Catan and Ticket to Ride were not his jam. So I brought some games over one day, and then we wound up not playing anything. Then the second time I pushed it a little harder, and he's like, okay, let's try it. So I wasn't sure what to do. I mean, I was originally thinking Transamerica, which is sort of like Ticket to Ride Light, but it's a little simpler. And I wound up bringing out Ganz Schön Clever, which is also that's pretty clever, I think is its English
Ye-
name.
yes.
Yeah, and it's a roll and write. I'm sure most people are familiar with it. If not, it's a pretty decent roll and write. It's one of the first ones that really kind of reignited the whole roll and write thing. But anyway, um, I brought that over, and he's like, "This is really fun." He really enjoyed like the dice rolling, and um, how things chain, right? Like one thing triggers another, and so forth. And we wound up playing it again. So we played one game, we played a second game, and that was it. Then the second time that I brought, then he's like, "Hey, next time you come over, bring some games." And I'm like, "Cool, all right."
Yeah.
And so the second time, I had a little bag. I had what I have in there. I had No Thanks. I had Ganshon Clever. I had um, Downfall of Pompeii. I had Azul and something else. I don't remember what it is, but I had all those games in there, and so I'm like, hey, let's play, Ganshun Clever. It's like I brought in the game. This was my strategy to rule the world, of
Yeah.
just let's bring the game that he already knows and he likes. Let's play one game of that, and then I'll introduce the new game, because I don't know if you're like this, Mark, but I tend, especially when we were doing the podcast before, and I was doing all this other stuff on BGG. It's like there's this push to always play something new. It's like, okay, we'll play this new game, then immediately follow it with this other new game, and then follow
Yeah.
it up with this other new game, because you want to talk about stuff, right? It's like you got to get
Yep.
the games played and see how it is, and it's tough to play the same game twice. It definitely is, but and plus you want the variety. But anyway, so we played Ganchon Clever, and he enjoyed it. He actually did pretty good. And then I brought out Azul. So like Azul for me is like it's a pretty good um, it's a pretty good introductory game. It's a little abstract, a little thinky, but not too bad. And he loved that one as well, and we played it twice. So that was pretty darn cool. Do you have Azul? I don't think you ever
I
mentioned it.
I don't know.
Yeah, it's a
I've
pretty decent game.
I've heard of it and looked at it, but it's one of those. It's just like I don't know, man. It's I think I'm one of those that like the cover just like ugh,
Yeah,
and then the name is like ugh.
Yeah.
And I look at
No,
it, it's like, it's tiles. Ugh.
yeah.
So I
No,
don't know. I got a
it's
lot to learn. So
yeah. No, it's a very abstract game, no doubt about it. It is just tiles, but the thing is, a lot of games that we play are extremely abstract, but they make them look pretty. You know what I
yeah,
mean? So it's like the core mechanic is very similar to Azul, for example, but now you have just instead of a tile, you have a miniature. And it's like it feels different, it feels more thematic, but it's really not. It's kind of the same. But anyway, um so we played Azul and he enjoyed that as well. And he's like, now he's open to like having like a regular game night. And it's like pretty cool. Yeah, this guy who dreaded playing Ticket to Ride. In fact, he was telling me his brother came over like the week prior and brought Ticket to Ride, and then his brother and my buddy's son played. He didn't even play Ticket to Ride, so that tells you you can burn somebody out. The experience could be bad. I mean, it doesn't necessarily mean that the game's bad, but it could just be that somebody had a bad experience with the game group and so forth. That might sour them on the game.
right.
But yeah, I'm trying to think of what else I might have played, like super recent. I'm thinking like in the last week or two. I think that's really about it. I played a couple games of Azul and a couple of games of Ganz Schön Clever, amongst my huge collection of games spread across about 3 rooms of my house. And whole bunch of calyxes and stuff like that. I'm playing like these really simple games, and all the meteor games are not getting touched. But I know that your list is quite a bit longer. So well, why don't you tell us what you've been playing, and then I guess there is no limit on this, and from the next episode we'll probably do like in the last 2 weeks, right?
Yeah, this still is. This is. I think this is the last 2 weeks. Everything I have here is,
Dang,
yeah, this
nice,
is all in the last 2 weeks. So,
nice.
um, yeah, it's and I think I have a couple that I actually didn't include. So, but
Okay.
with the holidays, we had a lot more time. My
Hmm.
oldest son's home. We played some stuff with him. Oh, in fact, I did leave something off that we did play in the last 2 weeks. So I'll just start with that as I'm looking at it. We played Villainous. Um, I've got the Star Wars, the Marvel, and all of the Disney Villainous games and all their expansions. I learned how to play at my game store, my friendly local game store. I've learned that term, and they had like, "Hey, we're going to teach Villainous," and now I know why, because they get you to buy it. But I had a lot of fun. We got to play as different characters, and I've taught it to my kids, and they really enjoyed it. So we did play some of that. I got my game group. I was introduced to Horrified, the
Okay.
Universal Studios Monsters version, and so we played that just last Wednesday. And I was like, "Hey, I have Horrified on my shelf that's not been played." So just this weekend, I broke
But that's
mine
like the
out.
original one, right? Like,
I've got the American Monsters version.
is that like the
Um,
Target one?
I don't
No,
know.
I know they
It's
sold in
it's
Target.
the
Yeah.
American Monsters has Bigfoot, Chupacabra,
Oh, okay.
um, like that. The Universal Studios has like Dracula, Monster from the Black Lagoon, I think werewolf, stuff like that.
Okay.
But the games are the same, except it was a different map, but it still pretty much played the same, just with slight variations on them. But yeah, I really like that game. Oh, I also played quite a few rounds of Star Wars: The Clone Wars. So this was the game that I was telling you. This is based off Pandemic,
Right.
and so I
And
originally
regular Pandemic, not
n-
Legacy.
not Legacy, regular Pandemic.
Okay. Yeah.
And so I remember my youngest son wanted this a long time ago when I was at a buy one, get one 50% off at Target. And And I was like, I know that it said on the box it's based on Pandemic. And I was like, well, I don't even know Pandemic. And Pandemic was cheaper than the Clone Wars one. So I picked up Pandemic and I'm like, well, let's play this one first. Um, and then I haven't played it yet. But we ended up playing this Clone Wars one because someone from my game group says, hey, I would like you to bring that. Let's play it. So I was like, well, now I got to learn it. So my oldest son and I played a couple rounds before I took it to our game group, and played it there and then played it here, then played it there. And I really, really enjoyed it a lot. Now, and that's just like I came home and I was like, I got to play Pandemic. I got to play the original. I'm really excited to go play that now. And I'm hoping to get that to the table really, really soon. But I really enjoyed the game mechanics. It was um, very stressful. It was very tight, close games every time.
Hmm. Yeah,
It's like you just don't know if you're going to win or lose. And
that's part of the excitement.
yeah, and everybody really enjoyed it. Also, I've got a guy here that is a friend of a friend that introduced me to him. And as I was trying to get into gaming, and they're like, "Do you play Magic?" And I was like, "No, but I'll play. I'll try to learn." And that was kind of the very beginning of this whole thing too. Before I started this board game thing, so I went to this guy's house, and we they taught me how to play Magic, and eh, not a fan really. It's just I think it's too much for me. I struggle with. Yeah, I'm old. I'm dumb. Rob, you know me. I'm dumb. I'm dumb.
But
So I like simpler games, but it was still fun to go and play and just you know learn it. And well, this guy is very very big time into games. Well, earlier in
mhm.
the year, last year, his son came to him and said, "Dad, I want to make a game." Well, he's done it.
Okay,
He has made a
nice.
game that I got to he's got and so my friend who introduced me to this guy is has been helping him. There's like a group, they have a little gaming group that they have been working and play testing this game. They're planning to crowdsource this. And
Very
I
cool.
got to play it on New Year's Eve. And it's a game called Dragon Spawn. And I will let you know if and ever it does get crowdsourced. I hope it does. It was way beyond my comfort level. Okay. This has probably every game mechanic that you can imagine in it,
Okay,
but it was at the end of it, it was like I told him, I said, I want to play it again. It's like, you go through it and you're really kind of confused, but at the end of it's like, okay, I want to play it again because I feel like I'm getting part of it and I needed to play it again. I said, let's do it again sometime. And I said, if you ever crowdsource this, let me know because I'll get in on it right away. Um, but they actually asked for feedback from my kids and I all who were there. Each one of us a bunch of feedback because they're trying to get comments. And there were some things that we made suggestions on. They're like, that's really good. So some of our ideas might end up in that game if it does see the light of day, which sounds like it's going to. So that was really cool. New into it, and I'm already playtesting something.
nice. It'd be
Um,
awesome if like your name is in the rule book.
I doubt it, but my friend's
Yeah,
is.
yeah.
Him and his wife's name are in there. So but that's cool. But no,
Mhm.
if I just know I played some part in something changing or being simplified.
Yeah,
Because they did have the rule book and it's big and not complete and needs some work,
yeah,
but it was cool. I'm seeing a game before it's really finished and out in the wild, and it's really neat already at this stage. We played some Sushi Go for the first time. Very fun card game. My
oh
kids all
yeah.
loved it. Then on New Year's Eve, we played Sushi Go Party with a bunch of our friends, and that was, same thing, just a lot more cards, a bit more variety of different things to do. So it was also really fun. Then I I walked in unknowingly to Barnes and Noble the day after Christmas because my kids wanted to spend their Barnes and Noble gift cards. They love
Oh,
Barnes and Noble. And we walked in the door and it was like all hardbound books, 50% off. And I was like, I looked at my kids and I was like, oh man, you guys are in trouble. Because especially my oldest son, he loves the big hardbound books for his shelf
Hmm.
and he reads so much. And I just asked my daughter, I said, can you imagine if I walked around the corner over here and it said 50% off all board games? And I'm like, I'd be in trouble. Well, of course, that's where I was headed. I just go look. I rarely ever buy anything there because they're usually more expensive than everywhere else.
Yeah.
But they got a lot. They got a big collection at my Barnes and Noble. And so it's fun just to look at everything. Well, sure enough, I walked around the corner and I just stopped dead in my tracks. And it said 50% off all board games. And I just like, I turned around to my daughter. I was like, I'm in trouble.
Yeah.
It's so I walked over there and then I was like, okay, well, it was at a table. And I was like, oh, I said, I bet I got overexcited. I bet it's just this table. Then I walked over to the actual section and it was like, no, the sign was everywhere and it said all board games. And I'm like, oh my goodness. And I walked out of there with I
Everything.
spent
One
well,
of each.
I spent over $200. That's after the discount.
That's amateur hour.
So I bought like $450 worth of games and only
Yeah.
spent like 225. And I was just like, it was like a kid at Christmas, man. I've never been
Hmm.
so excited.
Yeah.
People were laughing at me and because my son I had him carrying it all and I just kept throwing stuff in his arms and he couldn't even see. But I think I sent you that picture. But anyways,
Yeah.
one of
Yeah.
the games we got from there was Wavelength. And
Oh yeah. Okay.
it's a lot of fun. We introduced it. We played this also on New Year's Eve with our friends. They really liked it. And I remember looking at it. My daughter was like, I've seen a lot of this on Instagram. And I was just like, they had it open at the Barnes and Noble. And I'm like, this looks dumb. Like someone on your team's a psychic and you're moving this hidden thing. And I was like, this looks dumb. It's a lot of fun. And it's not as easy as you might think. So, but it's really a lot of fun. And it actually is if you're looking for a game to introduce someone new, this is really good because it's short. It really doesn't take very long. And it's not hard. And so far everyone that's played it really likes it. Another thing I've played it was not I guess you could say it was a Kickstarter, but it was actually I'd missed the Kickstarter, but I got the pre-sale. It's a game called Dog Park that I so that was my first one that I bought because of the box art. I have an Australian Shepherd, and the dog on the box looks just like mine.
Yep.
And I was like,
Sure
I gotta
does.
get it. And we've played that, and it's actually a lot of fun. It had new mechanics that I wasn't like. It was new to me, and I'm like, this is so much fun. My kids really loved it. So that's Dog Park. I mentioned we also played Marvel Dice Thrones. Santa brought that to the family for Christmas, so we have every Dice Throne because they just released right before Christmas. They released the um, Marvel Dice Throne. I think they call it the Battle Chess. It's all 8 Marvel characters, so it's the whole big box of everything all in one. And that goes with my season 1, season 2 Dice Thrones. Battle chests or whatever they're called. They're the big boxes, so we have everything. So we played Marvel Dice Throne, which was I think all of us actually almost liked it better than the original.
Oh really?
It seems like the Marvel characters are more powerful. Um, a lot of the regular ones just I feel like they're just weak. And it may not be, but it has that feel, and everyone kind of felt like, man, I wish I was playing Dice Throne Adventures with my Marvel characters. We might actually be able to do something. And speaking of Dice Throne Adventures, the cooperative expansion to that, we also played that um, just the other day, this weekend. And then last two I've got is Taboo. I know probably shouldn't even be listed on here, but that's a fun party game, guys. Everyone, I had family over celebrating a birthday for my oldest son, and we wanted to play some games, so we played Taboo. And my very first Kickstarter that I
Ooh.
actually kickstarted didn't arrive because it got lost in UPS. After a month, I reached out to UPS and they're like, nope, you got to call the game people. But I put a claim in and then they said, well, we notified them. You got to deal with them. So I contacted the company that made Evil Bunny, which is Evil Bunny. That's the name of the company too. I guess this is their first game. And they were so awesome. I got to give them a big shout out. They immediately replied to me and said, "We see that it did get lost. We have sent another one out 2-day air, and you'll have it like in 2 days." And I did. They're like, "You'll have it by Thursday or Friday." And I think it was here Thursday. It was like actually 2 days later. I had it in hand. So I was really, because I was sitting here going, "Oh man, my very first Kickstarter," and I've got a bunch that I've done, and I'm like, "Here's the first one," and it's lost in the mail. I'm like, "Oh great," and no, it turned out to be great. Um, we had a blast with this game. Now, my mother was here. She's not into the games, and I've been trying to get her. And so, kind of like what you were saying, what do you bring? I got to bring simple things. And so, like Quicks, which is like the That's Pretty Clever in a way. It reminds me of That's Pretty Clever.
Yeah,
Just,
yeah, I have it. I know what you're talking
yeah,
about.
but it's a lot simpler, I think. She
Yeah,
really loves that.
that one is that the one that's no wait. No, I'm thinking bricks. I have quicks also, but
Yeah, Quicks, you
yeah,
got blue, yellow,
yeah.
red, yellow, blue, green dice, along with 2 white dice. So whoever's the active roller rolls, and everybody can use the 2 white dice to mark off a number on their sheet. And then the active player can use the 2 whites. And then if they want, they can use 1 white and one of the colors to mark a second one off their sheet. And once you have, and it goes from like red and yellow are like 1 to 12, left to right. And then blue and green are like 12 to 1. And you have to start from the left. And once you check off a number, you can't go back to the left of it. You have to keep moving to the right. So you don't, like, if if you roll a 3 red, well, do you skip the 1 and 2 and take the 3? Because once you take the 3, you can't hit the 1 and 2, and it could come up on someone else's roll or something. So it's one of those of, you know, when do you do it? But the active player has to take at least one of the two. Otherwise, they take a penalty. So, but it's real simple, and she loves it. So Evil Bunny can play up to 10 people. It's like, I think it says 3 to 10. Well, I don't recommend it at 3. I was watching a
Yeah.
play of it, and they were just like, they were done in one round, and they were like, let's try that again. And then I think it went 2 rounds and the game was over, and they were just like, maybe we need more people.
No, yeah,
And
because games are different, right? Some
yeah,
games just bog down with more people. Some games are better with more people, and they suck at two or three. Yeah.
yeah, we had six, 6 or 7. We had 6 or 7 people. I think we had 7 people, and it was great. It was perfect. The game still only probably lasted about 15 minutes, but it was one of those that, again, like even my mother could, who is a grandmother, she's in her 70s, she could play it. It made
Hmm.
it made sense to her very quickly. And she actually won the second game. And it was so funny, Rob. I wish there was a camera on her.
Hmm.
When she won, she threw her arms up and like leaned back in the chair and was like, "Yes!" And it was so funny to see her do
Yeah.
that. I
Yeah.
was like, "Oh my gosh!" It was like a little kid,
Yeah.
and it just made me so happy to see her just like ecstatic that she won this game. And I'm like, "That's it." And she'll be like, "I want to play that again," you know.
Now you
So,
probably would never get this reaction if you played Xbox, right?
oh no, no.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, I got a lot in the last 2 weeks. It probably won't be the norm now that the holidays are over and work is, but I should be having some experiences with a X-Wing, and a couple other games that we're going to play on our Sundays. So I should always have something to talk about. It just won't be this big of a list.
Yeah. Oh,
So,
yeah.
so.
Yeah. I was just looking on Kickstarter. It's really surprising how many projects I backed. It's more than five. We'll just leave it that way. Leave it at that. Wow. Surprising.
Well, I've
Anyway.
done 6 on Kickstarter and
Yeah.
1 on GameFound.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. There's
So
those two. Yeah.
yeah. So, but we should probably save that for another show.
Yeah. Yeah. There's one that I just backed. I rarely ever do like late pledges or something like that, but I should probably mention this because I know I talked to you about it the other day. And I jumped onto the Castles of Burgundy. So Castles of Burgundy came out quite a few years ago. Phenomenal game. I don't know if it might be too much for you. I don't know. It might be a game for later versus now because it's got a lot of stuff going on. But it's a game that was done by Stefan Feld. Has been highly rated for years. Got a billion of expansion boards and stuff like that available for it. They came out with a updated version from Aaliyah a number of years ago. I want to say it was like a 10th anniversary edition or something like that. But anyway, there's a brand new version which is like a reimagined. Think of like what these do with video games, like make them HD, definitive edition. This is like that, and I'm really excited about it. Just love this game. I did not get the updated like anniversary edition or whatever that was, um, just because there wasn't that much of a benefit to it. But this time around, they added like a whole new portion to the game, updated bits and stuff like that. But man, it's expensive. It was like $170. But
Whoa.
but people spend a lot more for games sight unseen, and this is like a guaranteed amazing game. So at least I have that, but I am sort of buying a second version. So you will see this eventually, which is I find this very annoying. And there's a couple of publishers that actually do this, where they'll come out with a game, and then they'll come out with like game 2.0, like 2, 3 years later. And then it's like there's a struggle. Do you buy the new one, or do you just keep the old one? How often do you play it? All sorts of stuff. But in this case, with Castles of Burgundy, oh man, who did that? I think it was,
Awakened Realms and
yeah,
Ravensburger. It says they're
yeah.
teaming up to for this special edition.
Oh, was it them? Okay,
Because I'm looking at the Game Found.
yeah. But yeah, it was Game Found. That's right. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to it. Haven't been. You
But
still there? Okay.
did you get the
I thought I got
was it
disconnected there for a
the
second.
core? Did you get the core box plus the SG? What is that? SG? There's a lot, man. There's a lot of stuff in this thing.
Yeah.
Plus all the stretch goals in the Game Found edition. Oh, did you? So that must be what you got, like the Game Found edition with all the bags and
I didn't get like the crazy.
trays.
There was like a crazy version. Let me
Oh,
see.
here's the special edition features compared to the anniversary edition.
Actually, so there
Bigger
was
hex tiles.
there's the majestic version. I did not get that one.
Oh, majestic special edition, royal.
I think I got the royal.
There's a
Cause
lot to this, that's for sure.
yeah, cause it was like $160, which
Wow.
which is a lot, but it is not like a plain vanilla game. And the thing too is normally I would hesitate like spending that much on a game. And I know there's people that buy the miniature games and they're like four, five, $600 for the all-ins. And
Whoa.
that's game sight unseen and stuff like that. And this is a game that I played a lot, and it's like a game that I love. One of my all-time favorite games. There's a couple of games that I like really really enjoy. This is one of them, and another was is an oldie but a goodie. It's called Manhattan Project. Um, that has a fond place in my heart. But yeah, so yeah. Oh man, look at all these add-ons. There's a terrain pack. That thing's crazy, but it's 142 euros. Ugh. They got these cool little castles. But anyway, enough about that. We got derailed because we were talking about doing an hour show. I think we're already at an hour, aren't we?
105. So we're right there.
105. Should we keep
But
going, or you wanna end the show here? And what do you think?
I've got another 5 hours before I got to take my kid to the airport, so I'm
Oh
not
no,
going to sleep tonight. So
I got a couple hours before. No, I got about 5 hours before I need to get up to go to the gym.
no, we
I,
can if you want we can talk about because some of the things that I'm hoping that we can do kind of on a somewhat regular basis is obviously talk about what we played,
yeah,
but I'd like to hear every once in a while maybe like what is on our shelf of shame that, and I hear people talk about this all the time, and this is also something that comes from video games. It's in the
hmm,
video game world, it's like your backlog. um it's so here it's the shelf of shame. What are those games that maybe you've had, because you've probably got games that you've had for a very long time, Rob, you haven't played. So maybe we can talk about those things that, and I think it would be neat if we could try to, and maybe we got to be careful about it, but try to challenge ourselves to, okay, we've talked about the shelf of shame. Let's bring something.
sure.
And maybe when we look at what's on our shelf, okay, what do I want to commit to trying to play sometime soon so we can talk about it
Hmm.
and get it off that shelf. Um, talk about the Kickstarter. Like what are we backing, and letting other people know like what kind of things are we backing. And hopefully, like you talked about, people will maybe contact us and share some things that they're
Sure.
interested in as well.
Well, how about this? Let's why don't we go through these sections here, but we only talk about one thing for this show.
Okay.
So we'll talk about, Kickstarters and stuff like that, Shelf of Shame, but we just mentioned one game because
Okay.
because you know each of these sections could be like 20 minutes long.
Oh,
Maybe we should
exactly.
maybe
Right.
we
I
should
just
just limit them. Yeah,
threw a bunch of stuff on here,
yeah.
like, but
So what's on your tiny Shelf of Shame?
there. I only have one game on my list. Um, and it might get played here really soon. So Everdell is one that it's one of these that I bought on these, you go into those BOGO freaking Target deals that now come up on my phone. Boom, board games, buy one, get one half off. I gotta go.
Yeah,
Um, so Everdell was in there and I was like, I've heard a lot about this. I'll just get it. It's only half price. It always, it just seems to be like, it doesn't matter what you buy because you only paid half price, but it is something I do want to play. And one of the game stores that I go to, there was someone in there, they have a Discord that I'm in, and I saw them post about, hey, would ever anyone want to play this? So I was like, I'll play it. I said, I don't know how. I have it and I'd like to learn it. So if you don't mind a newbie joining, I'll be there. So right now they're planning to have a gameplay of that on at the end of the month. So as long as that event happens, this will come off my shelf of shame.
woohoo!
So how about you?
My Shelf of Shame, Catan. No, there's I don't have any shame for not playing that one. Um, man, there's oh, I did want to mention real quick that eventually Target is no longer a problem with their sales.
Because you bought
So
everything that they have.
yeah, because you have everything or it doesn't interest you anymore.
Exactly.
So
Yeah.
you will reach a point where it's fine.
I think I may have hit that because I was in there
Yeah,
the other day and I was like, I've got that. I've got that. I've got that. I'm like, there's nothing here that I want.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, that's
So I might have peaked.
yeah. It eventually does hit that where it's like, oh, this is not interesting. None of it. Um, let's see. One game that's oddly on my shelf of shame, I'll bring this one up now, is actually Gloomhaven. So I bought Gloomhaven when it came out. It wasn't like the initial printing, but it was like I think the second printing, and I've got it, and I've got the organizer for it and everything like that, and I just never was in a position where I could just get people to play with me on a regular basis. And I've thought about playing it solo, um, and that just hasn't happened yet. So I really wonder whatever's going to happen with Gloomhaven, and it's a monster game. It's a big old
I
box, takes up a lot of
yeah,
shelf space.
my local store has it, and it's like $170,
Oh,
and the
geez,
box is gigantic, and I'm
yeah.
just like, how would you even begin to play anything like that? Like
Hmm.
it just the size of the box is overwhelming.
Oh yeah, yeah. Look, yeah, I
But
paid $99 for it, and
yeah, well, it's probably so expensive because I
117.
don't know if you
Yeah,
can get it, and I'd have to look, but
yeah, and they got that Frosthaven now.
yeah, and that box is I think just as big as the one I've seen. It's
Yeah, yeah.
crazy. So, but so can that? How many people do you need to play that?
Well, you can
Do
play
you
it
know?
solo.
Oh, you can.
Yeah, yeah. So, I mean, if you have like one, two, three people, well, I mean, if you have an additional one, two, or three people, I mean, that should be enough. Heck, I think you can even do like a minimum of two people if you want to play with somebody else. You could even play multiple characters, probably.
There's a Epic. I remember they had put the digital version, like the PC
Yeah.
version of it.
Hmm.
They made it free, and I went and downloaded it.
Yeah.
So maybe we could play the digital version someday, Rob.
Yeah.
So that's for those that don't know. Rob and I have been friends since high school, but we do not live in the same states, unfortunately. So we can't.
You
I
ran
can't. We
away.
can't. I just can't just come over and play it with him. But
Sure, you
I would.
can. It's just a big commute.
Yeah, yeah. If I can come and stay at your house for a week, then maybe we can play some. So,
Oh, you absolutely can.
got a couch for me to crash on.
Yeah.
So, all right, well, we'll talk about that because I would love to try to play that because
Hmm.
I do have Gloomhaven Jaws of the Lion, and I've got to play the very first part of it, and I'm like, this thing's awesome. So, I really like it. All right.
So, how about crowdsourcing funding or whatever?
So, okay, so I'll just run through mine real quick.
Or just
So,
want to just read one, or you want to just go? You
I'm
got
just
them
gonna
all. Yeah.
I'll just ramble them off.
Sure.
So I got One Too Many Rabbits. That's supposed to be here in March. Seven Deadly Dice coming in June. Hot Potatoes in June. And I think two of those I think are just card games, and then the dice one is obviously a dice game. Um, I'm not sure about this one. Why I did this? Terraforming Mars, the dice game. I don't know. I might regret getting that one because,
Nah,
but
nah.
I, I
I
have
think
heard
so.
so much about the game, but it just looked too intense. So I thought the dice game might be fun way to get
Mm,
into that one. Um, a board game called Survival of the Fattest, coming out in October, and then on I got this custom bag, and I think this might be overkill, but it's I'm backing this project that it's this really neat custom bag to carry your board games around. And it has like a sleeve for a playmat. It has these big heavy duty straps. They've even added like wheels to it, like a dolly and a wheel so you can but this thing will hold like I think seven good size board games
mhm.
like stacked on each other, and then they've got all these pockets, and I mean it's incredible. I think I sent it to you, Rob, a while back.
Yeah, yeah, I'm familiar
um
with it.
it's it looks pretty sweet, but that's supposed to come out like in May of this year. So right now I'm just using, in fact I use it if you gave me a gift once of a duffel bag with my initials on it,
Oh
that's what
yeah.
I'm currently using
Oh, that's small.
to carry my, yeah, but it allows me, I can still put like three board games in there, and then it's
Yeah,
got
yeah.
the pouches on the end to throw in something like a small card game or something.
Oh yeah, that's true.
So like the one I bought's going to be overkill because I never carry that many games, but if I'm going to go to a con or something like that, or if I'm going to go somewhere and maybe for vacation or something with the kids, and we like to go to the beach for a week every summer. Now that'll pack in. I can just pack that. That's our gaming suitcase, so to speak. So I think it'll get used. So I backed that one too. It looks really nice. I'm excited to get that. So how about you?
Well, I got a big list. I'm gonna pick and choose here.
Okay.
Well, the most recent one I think I did was Tiny Epic Crimes. For some reason, I all the Tiny Epic games I seem to back, not all of them, but a fair amount of them. So got that one coming. Alhambra, the Red Palace is one. It's like a 20-year anniversary of the Alhambra game that came out by Queen Games, and Terraforming Mars. I did that one as well. Just got like I don't remember if there were any like upgraded pledges, but it was just like the basic one. I didn't go crazy on that one.
The
Oh, and
dice.
yeah, Terraforming Mars, the dice game.
The dice came out. Okay.
Yeah, and then because I've got the original game and also got Ares Expedition. Is that it? No. Uh, yeah, Ares Expedition. So it's a good game. It also has a online, not online. It has a like a computer slash whatever version that's available. And I also did Kingdom Builder Anniversary Edition. Here, that's good. Those four.
Cool.
Those are like the main ones. That are like the most recent ones. Okay, and then how about a game that you're looking forward to? Uh,
I want Flamecraft and I can't find it anywhere, but I can buy
yeah,
it online for like $300.
yeah, yeah. That's the thing that you're gonna find where there is some FOMO to getting these titles because just of their print runs that they have, where some games will come out and then they'll be available. Others, they have limited print runs. Not so much the case anymore, but like there's a lot of companies like Spielworks, for example, they'll print 1,000 or 1,500 copies, and that's about it. Like they're done. So if you want the game, you got to jump on it, and then later on, you're kind of stuck, right? You don't have it available. So Flamecraft, I think was kickstarted what like a year and a half ago, and it came out about a year ago. Is that right?
I
Or
think
is
it
my
just came out
timing
just very recently, I
okay? So
believe.
so maybe the Kickstarter was a year ago and it just released. Yeah. So yeah, that's the problem, and it's one of those things of if you want it, if you see it, there's no thinking, right? There's no like, well, I'll come back next week and get it because it won't be there. You
And
you
and
really have to jump on it.
so with these, like, do you think they'll ever do another printing if the
Oh yeah.
game was successful? That
Oh,
it'll
absolutely.
come out again, right?
Oh, I'm sure. It's like if the game has a lot of buzz, and this game does, oftentimes what they'll do is they'll have the initial Kickstarter release, right, which will come out to everybody. Some will go into retail, and then if the reception was like really good, there's going to be like another wave coming out. It's on the ships, it's in the container ships on its way, but it lags, right? The worst thing that could happen is that it's going to be delayed by a year before we see it again, and sometimes that's the case because we're not dealing with Hasbro's, right? With all these game companies, a lot of these are like small. It's just people that kind of like old school run it out of their garage, right? It's just like one or two people that have a labor of love, and maybe I'm dating it, and this is how it was like back years ago. Because there are some fairly big companies that do stuff now, but it's not like huge production runs, and they don't always have it in them to do another 10,000 copies because they just don't have the funds to do that until the first runs sell. But
Yeah.
yeah, I would fully expect it to be out there, and you can always scan the stores, right? Because some stores will have like, let me know when it's available, and then you grab it. But yeah, Flamecraft, I'm positive it'll be available again. There's no reason why this one shouldn't be printed again if this print run is already out.
Okay. All right.
But yeah, to me, Flamecraft does look good as well. That's one that I uh, that I am looking forward to. So I'll double down on that one with you.
And you made it. You said a term, and I have to, being the noob, I'm going to ask,
What's that?
what is FOMO?
Oh, fear of missing out. That's not necessarily just a board game thing. No,
I've
because
but I've heard that. I've never heard that term until I started listening to board game podcasts.
okay,
So I was like, I thought it was just okay,
yeah, it's
but I get it because I'm like, I want the Kickstarter version of Flamecraft, and that ain't gonna
yeah,
happen
yeah.
unless I fork out $300. And it's like,
No, it's yeah,
nah, I can't do it. I can't. I
it's
got
like
kids in college.
no, it's like the thing about getting like the deluxe games and stuff like that. The thing that I struggle with it sometimes myself, but it's like do that only for games that you really like.
Yeah.
Because the thing is, if you have all those nice bits and it's a game that you don't play, or worse yet, you get it and you don't like it, man, that's just it's wasted money, you know. Which is why I'm doing it with Castles of Burgundy. But but yeah,
It's something that yeah.
fear of missing out. Yeah, that's just I get it now where it's like, oh, this is a game that I really like. Oh, I got to get it now. I'm not so worried about not getting a reprint later, but it still sticks with me. It's like get it before who knows when you'll see it next.
Okay. And I'm going to ask one other thing because you've mentioned it several
Hmm.
times. You have Catan. You've never played it. Is and I it seems like as a new guy coming in, I hear that game all the time. People always talk about it. It almost seems like this is a required game for someone to play and own. What's your take on it? Is this really a required? Because it does not look interesting to me.
Yeah.
No matter how much people say it's like so great. So is this a required game if I want to call myself a gamer?
I don't think so. I mean, it was kind of a staple years ago because I don't say it was revolutionary, but it was a game that like so many people loved, and it's got some mechanics in it that some people enjoy. Like I don't enjoy negotiation in games. Like I will sell you my 14 cans of soda and this for that, and it's like no, not my thing. I think it's less relevant now, but it's still really popular. And, there's a lot of people that haven't delved really deep into the hobby. And this is like a step up above and beyond Monopoly and
Yeah.
Sorry and Trouble and, all those other games that we were used to, Shoots and Ladders and all that stuff. So it's when you come from that background, Catan is amazing. It is this game that brings all these new experiences and ideas and mechanics, and it seems so freaking cool. Um, but I think there's a lot more out there now because I think Catan came out like 15, 20 years ago, so it's been around for a long time. And I guess to answer your question is like, is it required? No. It is a great game for certain people. Um, it's not my jam. I don't know if it would be yours. There's like an online version that you can play. Um, I tried playing that a couple of times and I just lost interest halfway through. So maybe that's a good example of the actual game. But is it a terrible game? No. Is it required? No. There's a lot of better stuff out there nowadays.
All right. Then I'll skip
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah. Don't worry about it. And there's so many versions of it too. There's like 3D versions and with like 3D tiles, and people actually have tables. It's Have you ever seen those like poker tables? They're like octagon shape or
Yeah.
hexagon shaped. Yeah, there's tables that actually have like inlays built into them for the tiles. It's like a Catan specific gaming table, and it's crazy, but well loved as well. So, did we
Cool.
cover everything?
Yep. Yep.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a bunch of stuff we'll have in the future
Yeah.
weeks because I got lots of questions, but
Yeah,
I
because
think that's great for today.
yeah, we talked about a lot of stuff in the beginning too, like that. Like half the show was just like you know the beginnings of coming back and stuff like that. So we'll get in the groove moving
Oh yeah,
forward. Yeah, awesome. So should we close it out?
sounds good.
All right. So, hey, thanks for listening, everybody, to this board game life. I said that correctly. I did not mess up a second time in this show. Episode number 39. Hope you enjoyed the show. We'd love to have you back next week. If you'd like to contact us, you can shoot us an email to contact at this board game life. I say that slowly so I don't mess that up. Thisboardgamelife.com. You can also find our website at this it's www.thisboardgamelife.com. And I believe there's a form on there to, what is it, in like contact us, I believe is the heading on there. We can send us a message. Find us at the guild, This Board Game Life on BGG. I forgot what the guild number is. I'll look that up. I think it's like 16 something. So it's a fairly early guild. But yeah, we'd love to hear from you. If you're a long time listener, not a long time listener, but a listener from a long time ago, let's hear from you as well. And looking forward to doing the show. And I think we mentioned that we're going to do this like every 2 weeks or so, at least from the start. We'll see how that goes. And it's good to be back. And Mark, I got to say, it's awesome to be podcasting with you again. Awesome to be talking board games. And we can also throw in like what we used to. We can talk about board games and anything else we want to talk about. How about that?
Alrighty.
Not appliances or towels. Those
No.
are those are for the other show that we did. Okay.
Yeah. The show that
Yeah.
shall not be mentioned.
Yes. Yes.
All right.
Anyway,
Cool.
so I'm Rob. Thanks for listening, everybody. Catch you all in 2 weeks with episode 40.
Mark, play you later. I don't
Yeah.
know.
Taking off.
I can't say that anymore.
No.
I'm just Mark now.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Yeah.
Bye, everybody.
All right. Take care.